It was a warm evening when I first sensed a change in the way my stepson looked at me, a mix of curiosity and something deeper that hadn't been there before. Initially, I dismissed it as just a passing glance, but gradually the atmosphere between us began to shift. Our relationship had always been cordial and typical, but there was now an underlying tension that neither of us could ignore. My stepson was a handsome young man, full of confidence and energy. He often had friends over, and among them was a girl who caught my attention. She was striking, with a smile that lit up the room and an effortless charm that made her the center of attention. I couldn't help but notice how close she and my stepson were. Their quiet conversations, exchanged glances, and undeniable chemistry. Watching them together stirred something within me that I hadn't felt in a long time. One evening, my stepson invited his girlfriend over for dinner, and there was a palpable tension in the air, as if something was on the verge of happening, though I couldn't quite place what it was. As we sat down to eat, the conversation was light, filled with laughter and shared stories. But every now and then I caught her gaze lingering on me, and there was something in her eyes that made my heart race. It was as if she held a secret, something waiting to be revealed. Later that evening, my stepson suggested we all relax in the living room with some wine. The atmosphere became cozy, with dimmed lights and soft music playing in the background. We sat close, and I could feel the warmth of their bodies beside mine, the subtle brush of his hand against my leg, her foot lightly nudging mine under the table. My mind raced with possibilities, and the air between us grew heavy with unspoken desire. As the night continued and the wine flowed, the conversation became more intimate, touching on love, relationships, and boundaries. The lines between right and wrong began to blur, and my stepson's girlfriend leaned in closer, her eyes locked onto mine as she spoke in a low, sultry voice. Her words caught me off guard, lingering in the air like a challenge, daring me to cross a line. "I think it's exciting to explore new things, don't you?" she whispered, her hand gently resting on my arm. My heart pounded, and my pulse quickened as her words sank in. My stepson, sitting beside me, seemed unfazed by the direction the conversation had taken. In fact, he seemed to encourage it, his smile growing as he watched the exchange between us. There was an unspoken understanding between the three of us, a silent acknowledgement that we were about to step into unfamiliar territory. Before I could respond, my stepson leaned in, his voice barely above a whisper. "She's open to trying new things," he said, his hand now resting on my knee, "and I think it could be fun for all of us." His words sent a jolt through me, my body reacting in ways I hadn't anticipated. There was a thrill in the danger of it all, the taboo nature of what was being suggested. A part of me wanted to stop, to pull back before it went any further, but another part of me, the part that had been longing for more, was ready to dive in, headfirst, into whatever came next. His girlfriend smiled at me, her lips curling into a seductive grin. "What do you think?" she asked, her voice filled with anticipation. "Are you up for it?" I hesitated for only a moment before nodding, my body betraying the doubts my mind still held. There was no turning back now. The next moments unfolded like a dream, every movement deliberate, every touch sending waves of pleasure through me. My stepson and his girlfriend moved in perfect harmony, their hands exploring, their lips teasing, as they guided me into a world of desire I had only ever fantasized about. It felt as if they knew exactly what I needed, as though they had orchestrated this moment, waiting for the perfect opportunity to invite me into their world. The night was a blur of passion and ecstasy. The three of us moved together seamlessly, our bodies intertwined as we explored each other's boundaries and desires. Every touch, every kiss, every whispered word of encouragement heightened the intensity of the experience, pushing us deeper into the depths of pleasure. I had never felt so alive, so wanted, as I did in those moments. Afterward, as we lay together, our bodies still tingling from what had just transpired, I couldn't help but smile. My stepson looked at me with a mix of satisfaction and affection, while his girlfriend lay nestled between us, her fingers lazily tracing patterns on my skin. "I told you it would be fun," he said with a wink, and it had been more than fun. It was a night that changed everything. The dynamic between the three of us had shifted, and while part of me knew this was something that would need to be handled carefully moving forward, I couldn't deny the excitement it brought. There was a newfound closeness between us, a bond that went beyond the typical stepmother-stepson relationship. In the days that followed, the energy between us remained charged. Whenever his girlfriend came over, there was an unspoken understanding that we were all in this together. As the night that changed everything became a part of our new reality, we embraced what had begun in that moment, allowing it to evolve in any direction we desired. The boundaries that once existed between us were shattered, leaving us free to explore one another in ways that were both thrilling and forbidden, hidden from the outside world. I found myself eagerly anticipating their visits, the excitement building with each passing day. When they arrived, the subtle looks and fleeting touches spoke volumes, hinting at what was to come. The exhilaration of being involved in something so secret and intimate was intoxicating, and I couldn't get enough of it. As time passed, our encounters became more frequent, each one more intense than the last. We pushed each other's boundaries, experimenting in ways that were both exciting and deeply fulfilling. There was a trust between the three of us, a shared understanding that we were in this together, exploring new territory without judgment or shame. It was a sense of freedom I hadn't realized I craved. What had started as a single night of passion had blossomed into something far more meaningful. It wasn't just about the physical anymore, it was about the deep emotional connection we had formed. I felt closer to my stepson and his girlfriend than I had ever felt to anyone before, and that bond grew stronger with each encounter. Of course, we were careful to guard our secret, fully aware of the consequences if anyone were to find out. But that only heightened the thrill, the knowledge that what we shared was ours alone, a private world separate from the rest. It was a delicate balance, but one we were all willing to maintain for the sake of the pleasure and closeness it brought us. Looking back, I never could have imagined things would turn out this way, but once we crossed that line, there was no going back, and I didn't want to. As the months went by, our connection only deepened. The secret life we led became second nature, and I began to embrace the unconventional dynamic we had created. It wasn't just about the physical connection anymore, though that remained a significant part of it. The emotional bond between the three of us grew stronger. We spent more time together, not just in our intimate moments, but in everyday life as well. Casual dinners felt like more than just family meals. They were filled with lingering touches, shared glances, and inside jokes that only we understood. We had created a world that belonged solely to us, and within it, I found both comfort and excitement. There were moments of doubt, of course. Sometimes I wondered how long we could keep this going, how long we could keep our secret hidden from the outside world. But when those thoughts crept in, I reminded myself that what we shared was real. This wasn't just a fleeting passion, it was something solid, something meaningful. One day my stepson surprised me with a candid admission. We were sitting together enjoying a quiet afternoon when he turned to me with a serious expression. "You know, this might not be traditional," he said thoughtfully, "but what we have here is more real than anything I've ever experienced." His words echoed in my mind. I had often questioned the nature of our relationship, wondering if it was just a temporary thrill, but hearing him say that made me realize we were all in this for the long term. It wasn't just a secret affair, it had become part of who we were. His girlfriend, too, had grown closer to me in ways I hadn't expected. Our connection wasn't just physical anymore. We shared deep conversations, confided in each other about our hopes, dreams, and fears. She became someone I trusted completely, and that trust only made our intimate moments even more special. As our relationship deepened, I began to let go of my past inhibitions and embraced the life we had built together. The love I felt for both of them was undeniable, and the trust we had established made me feel more secure than I ever had. But we still had to be cautious. The world wouldn't understand what we had, and if anyone found out, it could destroy everything we had worked so hard to maintain. So we kept our public interactions casual, maintaining the appearance of a normal family life. It wasn't always easy, especially when the tension between us was palpable in social settings, but we managed. In private, though, we were free to love, free to explore, free to be ourselves. Every touch, every kiss, every shared moment felt like a victory over society's expectations. We had carved out our own little paradise, and as long as we were together, nothing else mattered. One night, as we lay in bed, tangled in each other's arms, my stepson whispered something that stayed with me long after he said it. "I never thought this would happen, but I'm so glad it did. I don't want this to ever end." His girlfriend echoed his sentiment, and in that moment I realized that we were all on the same page. None of us wanted this to end. We had found something rare, something beautiful, and we weren't going to let it slip away. The fear of being discovered was always there, lurking in the background, but it wasn't enough to make me stop. I was too invested, too in love with both of them to walk away. We had found a balance that worked for us, a dynamic that, while unconventional, was perfect in its own way. As the months turned into years, our relationship continued to evolve. We learned how to navigate the complexities of our situation, how to maintain our secret while still living fulfilling lives. It wasn't always easy, but it was worth it. Every challenge we faced only brought us closer together, made us stronger. Looking back, I never could have imagined my life would take such an unexpected turn. What began as a secret affair had grown into something deeper, something more profound than I ever thought possible. We had defied the odds and created a life that was uniquely ours. And I couldn't be happier. Our love story wasn't conventional, but it was real, and in the end, that was all that mattered. If you found this suspenseful story intriguing and would like to hear more, don't forget to like and subscribe to my channel for additional exciting content.